Matthew Tkachuk is heading to South Beach. I don't know about you, but I've got questions. Thanks to The Athletic, we've got answers. Welcome back, hockey fans. Welcome in if this is your first time to the channel. I'm Josh. This is the Hockey Flow. And today, it's Saturday, July 23rd, 2022. That's right, Matthew Tkachuk. My goodness, he's on the move. Late last night, early this morning for our East Coast friends, news came out that Matthew Tkachuk is heading to the Florida Panthers for Justin Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, a prospect and a pick. We're going to get to that in just a moment on Today in Hockey. But first and foremost, we got to get to Today in Hockey history. Then we're getting into the headlines, and spoiler alert, it's all about the big trade. We're going to talk the ins and outs, who got what, who's going where, and then we're heading back to The Athletic for our article deep dive. They put out a really excellent piece. They asked 7 questions and gave 7 answers regarding the trade. So we're going to dive deep into that. Be sure to stick around for that. If you do enjoy the content, take the moment, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate it, especially as we're just getting started out. We're going to keep bringing you videos daily. Make sure you never miss one of those. We do have a giveaway going on. Spoiler alert, we did cross that 100 subscriber mark, so we'll have a special video coming out soon on that too. So stick around to the end for more on that. All right, Today in Hockey history. On this date, July 23rd in 2012, the Columbus Blue Jackets trade legend Rick Nash to the New York Rangers. Nash would go on to play 375 games for New York. Tell you what, a little bit bittersweet for Blue Jackets fans, especially now. You guys are in the news for all good reasons. Johnny Gaudreau, Patrick Laine, but this one is tough. All right, headlines. Big news. We're not even going to talk about anything else today. Florida Panthers, Calgary Flames. Big trade. Matthew Tkachuk and a conditional 4th-round pick are headed to the Panthers in exchange for Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, prospect Cole Schwindt, and a 1st-round pick in 2025. And tell you what, this was such a big surprise. I was so blown away. I didn't even know what to think. It's a Friday night. We're just hanging out, having fun, and we see this news. It was fun to watch Twitter too. But we're gonna break it all down in just a moment. But just on the face of it, I like the trade for both teams. Florida needed a refresh, and Calgary, you guys needed to get something for Kechuk, and my goodness, did you get something? So, all right, we're heading back to The Athletic. It's been a little bit, a few days, but what we know about the Flames trading Matthew Tkachuk to Panthers, and this was coming to us by the entire Athletic NHL staff. We're very familiar with them. So here we go. Got our player cards over here, Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar, and right off the bat, I see a ton of yellow. That means value, right? And thank you again, Dom and Shayna. These are always so helpful, and like the updated graphics, absolutely. But let's get into it. So we got 7 questions. I had a ton of questions. First and foremost, I don't know. We won't get into it, but here we go. 7 questions. First and foremost, why did Kechuk want out of Calgary? So we've talked about it on previous videos on the channel, but at the end of the day, Kechuk, all signs were him wanting out, and then Johnny Gaudreau leaves, and this article in particular points out the Johnny Gaudreau factor. Johnny Gaudreau's leaving, and Matthew Tkachuk's numbers really spiked this last season when he moved up to that top line with Gaudreau. They ended up in a lot of people's eyes, that was the best top line in hockey for a good chunk of the season, with Lindholm, Gaudreau, and Kechuk. So Kachuk's numbers, his points, his goals, over 100 points, over 40 goals this season, is that a product of playing with Gaudreau on that top line in Lindholm, or is that a product of him maturing as a player? Because I tell you what, Matthew Tkachuk is just that. He's a unicorn. He is one of a kind. He is that perfect blend of size, speed, skill, tenacity, grit. I tell you what, Panthers, you guys got a really good one, and this is coming from an Oilers fan, right? Like, the Flames are supposed to be our mortal enemies, and I'm a fan of Matthew Tkachuk's game, but why did he want out? So the Athletic talks about Johnny Gaudreau, right, and that mattering, but the Athletic also comes back to that question that we talked about yesterday with Austin Matthews. Is he leaving Canada? No, I don't think so. Leafs fans, don't panic. I think he wants to win. But this is another superstar leaving, Calgary in particular. So they do talk about it. Maybe this isn't a Canada question, but a Calgary question. And I actually do think they make good points. They talk about the arena. It is on the older side. They talk about the head coach. Daryl Suter's an excellent head coach, but he can be demanding, right? We don't know the inner workings of that locker room. We don't know everything behind the scenes. So, there obviously was a reason Matthew Tkachuk wanted to leave. There's a reason Johnny Gaudreau wanted to leave. No one besides them know the exact reason, right? But it's fun to speculate. So, did the Flames get a good return for Kechuk? For Flames fans, I'm sure this is all you guys cared about, right? Like, if we're going to lose him, at least don't let us lose him for nothing. We can't let him go. We can't let him walk like Johnny. And, you guys did. You guys got an excellent return. Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar are both unrestricted free agents after the season, yes, but Jonathan Huberdeau, he's a Canadian boy, right? If anyone's going to re-sign in Calgary, I would think it's going to be him. Mackenzie Weegar is an excellent defender, so even if it's only for this season, from the Panthers' perspective, they weren't probably going to be able to re-sign both of these guys anyway, so flipping them for Kachuk, I think it makes sense. But from a Flames perspective, I think they absolutely did well. You guys, considering the trades that they rumored to have turned down, the one from the Blues for Kyrou and Krug, this is much better. So I don't think the Blues could have beat it, and that ties right into our next question. Why didn't the St. Louis Blues get Kachuk? And St. Louis was the city I wanted him to go to. I'm the romantic when it comes to that. I wanted him to go back home, and the article talks about it. Cap space, first and foremost, they would have had to move some pieces, and we did talk about that, right? We talked about that that St. Louis was strapped for cash, and they would have to move some pieces out to even be able to make that work, but it's Matthew Tkachuk. You make it work, right? And they ended up not doing it, but essentially it comes down to they weren't going to be able to beat that package. Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, prospect, and a first-round pick, that's again, quite the package. I know Jonathan Huberdeau, some folks aren't a huge fan of his game, but I am. I mean, just the numbers alone, he's a very impactful player. So why Florida traded for Kechuk? This is probably my number one question. Why would Florida do this? You guys won the President's Cup last year. Yes, the playoffs didn't go exactly as you wanted, but you have a good core. You have a strong nucleus. So why would Florida trade for Kechuk? Well, it's easy. Kechuk is a unicorn, and it's tough to sign both Huberdeau and Weegar. We mentioned it just a second ago, and that ties right into it. If you're going to lose one or the other anyway, why not package them up now, get Kechuk, and then you sign him. You've got him tied up for the next 8 years, and not a bad number. Absolutely. So again, I think it's a great deal for both teams. Now, what does the extension mean for Florida's long-term future, right? They just committed $9 million AAV to one player for the next 8 seasons. So the article does talk about that they're going to have to send money out, right? We're going to have to be sending money out, or Anthony Duclair is going to have to go on the long-term injured reserve. We know he did injure his Achilles earlier this offseason, so that probably is the option they're going to go right away. Depending on when he's able to come back, though, you're going to have to make room, right? You're going to have to probably move somebody. All right, why did the Flames elect to take Kechuk to arbitration? So this is something we talked about. There didn't really make much sense, but at the end of the day, it just came down to them needing to eliminate the offer sheets, right? Like, the offer sheets come in, it just adds another layer to it. They already knew he didn't want to be back, so they're just like, all right, let's file for arbitration, put it back as far as we can, give us as much time as possible to get a trade done. Maybe something happens. Maybe he changes his mind. Maybe he wants to re-sign long-term and we get it done. But at the end of the day, he wanted out. So they were gonna move him, but they weren't going to throw him away for pennies on the dollar. And they made the deal that they thought was right. And again, it's a good deal. It's a great deal. So the last but not least, and this is kind of an interesting question. I'm not sure even why they were asking, but how big of an impact did Kachuk have on the Flames? And I tell you what, if we just look at last season in particular, he had an immense impact, but you can't. You have to look at it as a whole, and I do agree that he had a very big impact on the team. Just from a hockey standpoint, the player he is, he made everyone better. So I do think the Flames will miss him, absolutely, but I think Jonathan Huberdeau makes that transition so much easier. I honestly don't think they're going to miss him after seeing Huberdeau a few games, but at the end of the day, would Kachuk even have been the same next season without Johnny Gaudreau on that top line? Which brings us back to that first question. I don't know, right? That's the fun of hypotheticals and doing these thought experiments. But let me know your guys' thoughts on the trade. That's going to do it for us. Again, I think it's a win for both sides. I think both groups accomplished what they needed to with the trade. But with that, I do have exciting news. As I said earlier, we have surpassed our 100 subscriber mark. So thank you guys so much for that. I really do appreciate it. But that means we do have a special video coming up. We're going to do a giveaway video. The video will be dedicated to the giveaway. It's just going to be the rules and all the official stuff I have to do for YouTube to make sure it's compliant. But we'll get that put together real quick for you guys so I can get you get a winner, and we can get you out that $100 gift card to NHL Shop just as a token of my appreciation, because I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Until tomorrow, cheers.